Good evening and welcome to my channel. This is Nasira's Heart. Thank you so much for joining me on this evening. I'm so excited that you stopped by. And this channel is lifestyle, social injustice, just all of the topics that are near and dear to my heart. That is why it is called Nasira's Heart. And just to give you some background, the name Nasira, during a course in my life, I was interested in studying Islam. I met a gentleman and he gave me the name Nasira. Just because throughout my life it suited me in terms of me helping others and doing all of that. So that's where the name Nasira came from. And it always stuck with me. And so the things that I may discuss on this channel, share on this channel, will be topics that are near and dear to my heart, things that I feel passionate about. And so one of those topics is domestic violence. And I had posted a previous video stating that I was going to be starting a little series, and it's called Rose Petals Revived. Today is our first episode. We are going to be talking about the reason why I chose that name, Rose Petals Revived. I chose that because when you're going through, sometimes you feel like a wilted flower. Sometimes you feel like there's so much going on. You're just not getting enough nutrients, water. Your spirit is not being filled. There's not enough being poured into you, and you might feel a little wilted. And so, Rose Petals Revived is here to encourage those that are in the midst of it. We see a lot of channels or topics or podcasts of, helping you to notice the red flags before you get involved in something. And then, once you're free of it, once you get out, and how well you're doing and things are looking up for you and all of that. But a lot of times there's no outlet for while you're going through something, while you're going through, and a lot of times people don't have the support that they need. They don't have someone they can talk to regularly. They don't have, maybe their faith or, whatever it may be, because depending on what their situation is, they may not be able to share. Um, they may not be able to share with someone because of whatever the circumstance may be. Maybe the person doesn't want them to be talking to anyone, because if you don't know that the number one symptom, I guess you want to call it, the residual effect, whatever name you want to put on it, that happens to individuals is isolation. They become isolated from their family and friends. Maybe they're not doing as much as they normally would. You don't see them as often. You may not even hear from them as often. Or when you do, they don't seem as open. They seem reserved or guarded or something like that. So it's important, that people do have a place where they can go and they can talk about things and even receive tips on how to stay safe, ways to, organize. Because I will say that one thing that I noticed during a domestic situation that I was engaged in is that yes, they have organizations. Yes, they're saying give us a call. Yes, they're like, we're here to help. But when you call them, you find that either they don't have open space, or they just give you numbers to call elsewhere. They just give you some resources so that you can call somewhere else and do somewhere else, and then if you're married, it's very limited, because if you, let's say, need food for yourself or your children, they have to consider the income of the other person. And, there's all of these various factors. They'll always be wanting to figure out, well, what's happening with that person? What's going on with the spouse? Whatever, this and this and that. And so then you end up limited. And then some organizations give priority to women and children, which is fine. And we understand that, we have to think of the children, but single women or women that are coming out of a situation who do not have any minor children also need assistance as well. And so I am here to encourage those women. I am here to lift you up. I am here to, come and share, things that I know and have learned. And sometimes things that we find ourselves in, because there are times when you might get out of one abusive relationship and then find yourself in another. And you're thinking, did I not learn anything from the last situation? How did I end up here again? What happened? What brought me to this place again? So now it requires some self examination, and one of the things that I found for myself is that a lot of the behaviors that are I was engaged in are normalized within the people that I'm around, whether family or friends. I've seen it. You know what I mean? I cannot think of hardly any women that I have encountered, met, who at not one time in their life been involved in an abusive relationship at least one time. At least one time, you know what I mean? And some people multiple times. And so then you start to wonder, you look at the pattern, like, how did I get here? How did I arrive at this place? What is it that is drawing me to these where I'm either ignoring the red flags, I'm missing the red flags, or I see the red flags, but yet I'm like, you know, I'm still going to go through, or misinterpreting these behaviors as love, because the saying, when people say the old saying, the elders, they be like, love doesn't hurt, that's true, not to say that you might not experience disagreements and it might be some pain, but not to the level of fear, not to the level of intimidation, not to the level of demeaning and disrespect, not to those levels, you know what I'm saying? That should not be something that a woman should have to be encountering on a day-to-day basis from someone who she is supposed to be sharing a life with. And so I am here to encourage. I'm going to be definitely having some tips, on say things that I've learned. And like I say, a lot of the things that some people don't learn until they go to support groups. You might encounter other women who have had to deal with various situations. I do think that it is more difficult for women when they do have children with someone, because in many states, the other parental person has rights. So, regardless if they're abusive or not, they still have some rights to their children. As long as he's not abusing them, then they can still have the rights to their children. If they don't feel like he's a danger to the children, then he has rights. And so now you still have to be trying to engage this person. You have to be trying to interact with this person, and sometimes there's resources where you have a middle person, whether it's family or friends. You can drop the kids off over here, drop them over there, meet at a neutral space. But sometimes, even in those cases, women may not find themselves to be safe, because some people don't mind clowning in public. They're not really bothered by that sort of thing. You know what I mean? They don't care who's around. They're going to act a fool regardless, and you can call the police on them because for whatever reason, they're not intimidated by going to jail. And so they're going to do whatever and be however, so that creates more of a challenge for you, because then you also feel like, listen, this man, person is crazy. I don't want them around my children. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want my children to be exposed to all of this. I don't even want them to have to even go through all of this, so it is very difficult. And not to mention the fact that it's not a speedy thing. If you feel like, okay, I'm married and I want to get out of the situation, all of the steps that you have to go through, that it takes a while. It takes a while. It's not a quick process, so in the meantime, you're still going through, and if you have, in my state, for instance, it's a community property state, and so women can be affected by that. So now you have to, you live in a place together, maybe you own a house together, or maybe you have cars together, maybe you have bank accounts, there's all of these things that you're tied together with. And so you find yourself feeling like you have no options, you know what I mean? And then a lot of times, family and friends may not want to get involved because they don't want to be involved in the drama, and sometimes people get involved at their own risk, you know what I mean? Now, some people, if certain family members, they know who those people are, maybe, and they're like, we don't want to mess with them, or whatever, that could be the case. But then some people are like, we don't care, and we're ready to set it off. And some people are ready to have it full on blown out, shoot Western fights, on the blocks of the cities, you know what I mean? And they don't really care, so it can be a very, very lonely existence, you know what I mean? And then sometimes you end up finding yourself using substances to drown it out. You're drinking, popping pills, you smoking, whatever it is that you might be doing. And then even if you have your faith, you believe in your faith, but again, a lot of the practices and principles that they teach you in the church are, don't talk outside of your marriage. Don't do this, this and that. Don't speak on your husband. Don't do this or that. So in those cases, what does a woman do? Because now she feels like she's dishonoring her husband if she speaks out against whatever is happening. So I just will say that I'm here to encourage. I'm here and to speak life into those wilted flowers, and so that you can be revived even in the midst of your storm, even through the trial. There's hope for you. There's hope. All right. So you have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my channel. And I hope to see you soon for our next episode. Again, this is Rose Petals Revived on the channel Nasira's Heart. And I also have a Facebook channel, which is Nasira's Heart as well. You can find me on that platform where I share other things. I also like to write poetry. So I will share some things on that channel as well, that platform as well. So hope to see you there. Have a blessed day.